Perfect.
All right, we are live. We are
Goddamn.
recording. Uh, Hello everyone. Welcome to the Unsafety Car podcast. We finally have a guest today with us.
Holy shit. I mean, we've
Um,
had a guest before,
I
right?
mean, this is a virtual guest for the
Yeah.
first time, and so yeah, today we have on the podcast Anirban, who's a writer at the SportsRush. He covers F1 and NASCAR. And today we shall be talking about, I think, easily one of the best races in years, the Brazilian
100%.
Grand Prix.
And one of the best race weekends, all just in general, not
Yeah,
just the race itself. Holy shit, so
yeah,
much happened.
far too much. I
Mhm.
was like, I saw the whole race, and I knew people who unfortunately didn't see the whole race,
Yeah.
and I had to, and I was sad that they had to, see the highlights, which were just 8 minutes.
Yeah. Having people, like, having to hold my feelings for the race in because some of my friends hadn't watched it was the most painful thing that I experienced. 'Cause I wanted to talk about, and I finally can talk about the fucking race. Let's go.
Yeah. So, I mean, guys, thank you for having me here. Yeah, I'm very glad you guys asked me to be on here.
Right.
So, yeah, let's dive in. Let's dive in.
Yeah.
There's a lot to talk about.
So if if this race has anything in common with a lot of relationships, it's a lot of red flags.
Oh,
Too many, far too
Yeah.
many. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean that's racing in Interlagos almost every. I mean the track literally means between two lakes.
yes.
So that's
Yeah.
And it fulfills that.
yeah,
The name lives up to the
the name 100% does.
because
So
the
yeah,
amount of goddamn rain that happened.
yeah,
Oh god.
five red
Oh, yeah.
flags in quali. I don't remember the last time I've seen five red flags in quali.
Oh, yeah. And even like the way it was conducted as well, in the sense, I mean, the last time we had qualifying on Sunday was what, the 2019 Japanese Grand Prix,
Yep.
Yeah,
when there was when there was a typhoon. I mean, I personally feel, Formula One should actually start thinking about actually having quali on Sundays. I think because, it's because see, I mean, just shifting their mindset, because Formula One's all about strategy. I feel, at the end of the day, but when you're in qualifying, it's about getting that lap in, right? And it's easier, I feel personally, to shift that mindset from maybe Saturday to Sunday. But when you're like Sunday morning, you're like on the limit, and then you need to just tone back. I think I think that also played a role in how the race panned out, because and obviously the red flags did as well. But yeah, I just personally feel Formula One should start not think too much about a 24 race calendar or a 25 race calendar, but maybe try to just start doing things
Hmm.
with what they have right now. Maybe shift quality to Sundays. Maybe, yeah. That was a good,
But
yeah. It was
don't you
definitely
think
good, yeah.
that okay, one problem that I can see with the quali and race being on the same day is what happened with Albon, where he couldn't race
Yeah,
because he crashed during quali and he couldn't repair
yeah,
the team couldn't repair the car in time.
yeah,
yeah.
like a lot
Yeah.
of mechanics would absolutely hate that idea.
But yeah, I
And
mean,
exactly, because I feel so the format right now is also more about, okay, firstly, it's like it's historically been a certain way how the Grand Prix weekend has been run. But I think, again, yeah, like you said, it's more of a logistics thing, because no one likes seeing a 19 car grid, right? No one likes seeing that.
Yeah,
yeah.
So yeah, obviously, like, I understand that from a logistical perspective, and I personally feel a lot of teams would not be in for it. There'll be a lot of
Hmm.
backlash because of exactly what happened with Albon.
Right.
But then you look at I mean, see, I mean, like, for Williams, it was the worst weekend possible, because even if that happened on, let's say, a Saturday, right, for
Right.
Albon,
Hmm.
Cola Pinto still went off, right, on a
Yes.
Sunday. Like,
Twice.
the
correct.
mechanics did have a long day. But, like, yeah, I get your point. I get your point. But I think Williams is a team right now. It was such a good year last year for them, right? It was
Hmm.
such a good year for them. I mean,
It really
obviously, it
was.
was only Albon. It was
Hmm.
really Albon carrying them. But I feel, I mean, it's more luck than performance, because I feel like the Williams' package is a good package. If you
Right.
if you actually look at if you actually look at Monza, Baku, and Singapore. Yeah, Monza, Baku, and Singapore, right?
Right.
You actually saw that if they have two drivers that can extract the performance out of that car does deserve to be in the midfield. I think
For
that's
sure.
a
Yeah.
big step they've taken.
Mhm.
That's a big step they've taken, and I think that is something that actually also resonated with Sainz because I think he
Yeah.
can see the team moving forward. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So like
bittersweet.
James Vowles has said in an interview that 90% of his team for aerodynamics is just working on the 2026 regulations, and like only
Exactly.
10% is working on the current one. So I think that's also how he sold it to Science that
Mhm.
2026 is going to be the year for us, and they better get it right.
Exactly.
I think that's their last
Yeah.
shot at being in the sport.
But no. See, I personally feel a team like Williams, it's going to take a lot to take them out of the sport. If you think about it in
Yeah,
terms of
fair.
I mean,
actually
historically, they've
racing,
True
been
that. Yeah,
they're a legacy
yeah,
team.
yeah. But it's see, if this is what we love about the sport, right? This is what we love about Formula One because it's not just about like one factor or one aspect, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, okay. So see, the benefit that they have is the fact that they are a customer team, right? So they know, or they probably already know what Mercedes has been doing in terms of their power unit for 26. So
yeah,
that is something that they don't have to worry about. That's something they
Mhm.
don't have to worry about. And Mercedes, like we saw at at the turn of the turbo hybrid era, right? In 2014, right? Exactly. In 2014, where Mercedes just nailed the formula, just they nailed the power unit formula, right?
yeah.
That's something that is in the paddock. If you actually think about it right now, Mercedes is the power unit to have,
Mhm.
right?
Correct.
But then okay, so for like James Vowles and for Williams, the power unit side of things have been taken care of at Mercedes HPP, right?
Mm.
That is done. But now you come to in terms of developing the car, right? I mean, in the cost cap era, how much have they spent this year on repairs?
A
Yeah,
lot.
that
How
is
much
true.
money do you exactly? How much money do you think they still have left in the coffers? I don't think much. Like, okay, Darlington's been there. They've been pumping in the cash, but how much can they put in? They
Yeah.
cannot do as much as a Ferrari can, as much as an Aston Martin can, or as much as a McLaren can, right?
Hey man,
Right.
So,
I think all they need is a good chartered accountant, and they can get a few hundred million extra.
Yeah. And
I
just
mean,
just for context,
okay, being a lawyer, yeah. No, go on. Yeah.
just for context, for people who've just seen the Brazilian race and are wondering why
Yeah.
the Mercedes is the power you need to have when Alpine finished 2 and 3. You have a lot to catch up on.
I mean,
But yeah, that
I
that
mean, imagine.
that's a
I mean,
storyline
imagine.
we'll get to in a few moments.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, go
yeah.
on. You were saying something.
No. Yeah. So yeah, like I mean, see, I mean, being a lawyer and being a lawyer, I've gone through the regulations for 25, 26, and the cost cap regulations right now. This, to be honest, Formula One has done, and the FIA basically, they've done a very good
Right.
job, in terms of tying things up, right? And if you compare this with other sports, some people might still complain and say that okay, Red Bull got off really lightly with the punishment they got for
Mhm.
their minor overspend breach. But you know what? Seeing something this year, right? I mean, it's not just year to year that you suffer, So you're
It's
seeing something,
overall.
and you're
Mhm.
seeing exactly. So you're seeing how well I think kudos to the FIA, kudos to Formula One for actually making rules that
Hmm.
are not there just to be exploited, but they have real ramifications in terms of what's happening in the championship. Because I feel 25 has been one of the most exciting Formula One seasons we've had, barring
Yeah.
the 2021 season, of course. But you cannot overlook the fact that what happened with Red Bull and what happened with the cost cap has something to do with what is happening this year.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah.
a good shout out to them for
Mhm.
That's
for
true.
for what the FIA has done. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, now that we've started talking about Red Bull a little bit and how this season has not been the best,
Let's.
bar none, this was one of Max's best races ever.
I just want to say
Oh, yeah.
something. As someone who
Yeah.
isn't necessarily a fan of Max, because I feel like,
Mhm.
I mean, he's a great driver. I'll say that. He just wins too much. He has the Lewis Hamilton syndrome, I think, for me, where I just tend to support the underdogs. But
Mhm.
after watching Brazil, I think I have nothing but respect for Max. Like, as someone who is not necessarily a Max fan, I have nothing but respect for what he did.
Yeah.
You
I mean,
just
see,
don't go
I'll tell you
from
something. I'll tell you something about Max.
P17 to the top to P1. It's not
And you know
just the
something?
cars.
No one's ever done that at Interlagos. Max himself has never done that in his whole career. I mean,
Yeah.
see, you bring this up, and I'm glad you did because I would just like to, compare and contrast. Okay,
Mhm.
like Max said, right after the race, he said that there were high stakes here. Okay, there were high stakes at this race because he
Right.
was in a title fight, right? And let's just compare and contrast. Okay, look at. Listen, I have nothing but respect for both Max and for Lando. Okay, both of them are amazing drivers, no doubt. But you look at this, right? Lando was P1. Obviously, there was a strategic error at the McLaren pit wall, but it's not an error. Okay, it was again. It happens to the best of us, right? I
Mhm.
mean, there was no way that Lando could have known that the VSC would end or the pit wall would know that the VSC would end. Technically, they did because they pulled him in when obviously it was obvious that the VSC would end sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
You're right.
Anyway, let's not go there. But see, Max had something to prove that race. He had something to fight for, and I think he stepped up. What we've been seeing with Norris for the entirety of the season is that when he needs to step up, somehow he's not been able to.
Yeah.
And like you said, I have my own opinions about Max.
Mhm.
Some of them are really positive. Some of them I feel he could do better in certain areas. But after Brazil, I think I'm just like you. I can't say anything. I mean,
Right.
I have no right to say anything after what he's done.
Yeah.
You look at his race start, right? You look at his race start.
Mhm.
9 places on the first lap.
Yeah,
After the
that,
Senna S's, 9 places, 9 places around
that
the
did not
outside.
happen.
Around the outside. I mean, this is one thing. Martin Brundle said that about Ayrton Senna once, and I think it does ring true for Max as well. He just has a talent for grip.
Yeah.
He
He.
just has a talent for grip, and that's something you can't teach. You either have it or you don't have it, and Max
Yes.
has it.
I also think what helps is that when Max is off track, he is still racing. He never stops racing.
Yeah.
So I think
Exactly.
it's become a part of him at this point. Like
Yeah,
again, that's his dedication to the
that's true.
sport. You can't discount that at all. He is
Yeah, I mean,
truly locked into the sport
yeah,
100%.
that's true. Because you look at a few drivers on the grid, or maybe a few drivers in F2 and F3, maybe and they have so much. I mean, they have so many other things they want to do in life, or maybe there's so much else that's on their mind. For example,
Mhm.
Norris, for example, personally, I feel the Norris, he was never really in the championship fight, and I don't mean mathematically, I mean mentally. He was never in this championship fight
Right.
because I feel even when he won at Miami, the way he was speaking, the way he was talking. I mean, obviously, a lot of it is PR because you don't want to, just post or just want to go out there. But still,
Mhm.
it was always 25 for him.
Yeah.
And for a lot of us as well, it was only up, after, let's say, after maybe Austria or something like that, where you thought, oh, you know what? Oh, Lando's a title contender, maybe.
Right.
And it was more fabricated in the media because obviously, it has been an exciting championship because since Spain, Max hadn't won.
Mhm.
And then you see McLaren really just coming up, and you see McLaren being pound for pound the fastest car on track.
Right.
And obviously, you want to build those narratives. And that narrative somehow was there. No doubt. It was there. Because even right now, Lando is mathematically still in the championship fight, right? But I think for Lando himself, he was never really in the championship fight. For him, I think it was always 25, where he had the fastest car from race one.
Mhm.
But the problem with that is The problem with that is you don't know. When you go to Australia next year, you don't know if you will have the fastest car or not. Because Red Bull will do something about this, right? They have to do something about this.
Yeah.
So I think, it's always, like you said, Verstappen's always competing, Verstappen's always racing, Verstappen always wants to win.
Yeah.
Even if, and it takes me back to, I think, the 2009 season when Vettel was never really in contention for the title, with Braun doing what they were doing, and then Vettel started, picking it up, from like from the latter half of the season, and you could see how dejected he was when Button won in Brazil.
Yeah, I mean,
he won.
Double diffuser advantage was real at the start. Let's be honest.
Exactly. But I think Seb never really thought he was not in the fight. Seb never really thought, 2010 is when I'm going to win. Seb always thought, no, this is the year I want to win. I think that is something that Norris lacks. I don't know if it's a team thing. I don't know if it's his own personal thing, but that's what I feel.
Yeah, true.
But
about the whole narrative building thing about a title fight and all that. Let's just get right into the hot topic. Do you think the British media is trying to orchestrate this whole thing? I mean, Max clearly has a lot of opinions about it. He said a thing or two in the press conference also, where's Sky Sports and all that. But a lot of people in the UK have taken a lot of pot shots at him because of it.
Yeah.
Just because there was a British driver and a British team opposite him, or what's your take on the bias aspect of it?
Well, historically speaking,
see, exactly. I was going to start with that. Listen. If you look at the broadcasting side of things in terms of Formula One, obviously Sky Sports is one of the biggest. They have a global coverage, but they're still very nationalistic, right? Because they're still Sky Sports, right? They're from the UK, but they have a very, very wide coverage globally, right? See, I would not say that there's British bias. Obviously, there have been moments, even this season and even in the past, where you feel like, what are you saying? Come on, Ted, what are you saying? Come on, Crofty, what are you saying? Really, do you have to say that? This doesn't make sense. But the thing about the narrative, right? About the title fight narrative, I feel this hasn't been the most outlandish storyline that has been built in Formula One in a very long time because it's a fact that the RB20 was not doing what the RB19 was doing.
Oh yes, RB19 was a time machine. Let's be honest.
Exactly. And if you look back at the start of the season, the first 5 races maybe, and you saw, this car is good, right? The RB20 is good. But there was just a case of their rivals like McLaren and Ferrari just catching up really quickly. And even Mercedes, just before the summer break, right? Mercedes are pound for pound the fastest car, I feel, in the last 3 seasons. They won on the trot, right? They won Austria, Silverstone, and they won Spa, right?
Yes.
So, in a way, you can think why they would say that, because Red Bull were going down, and Verstappen was not winning. What really made the Red Bull Verstappen combination in the last 3 years was the fact that Verstappen was always winning, and he seemed invincible. Listen, we have to look at this from 2 perspectives: from the sporting perspective, and then now from the broadcasting perspective. From a sporting perspective, all of us always knew that even if Red Bull's not winning, it's going to be a Herculean task for Lando to overturn the advantage Verstappen had at the start of the season. Right. But if you go from a broadcasting perspective, if you want to sell Formula One, this was the perfect story, because Verstappen was no longer invincible. There was someone else who could win, right? So again, I won't say it's a British bias. I don't say it's a media bias. Listen, it was a good story to sell. Unfortunately, we realized last weekend that it was never going to happen. At least this season, it's not going to happen. So And I mean, see, come on, Verstappen. I mean, can you blame him for being a bit salty? I don't think you blame
Absolutely
him
not.
because I think
He,
because I personally feel he's gotten the shorter end of the stick many times from the
Yeah.
media.
He's
He's
been
not deserved it really.
he's been hated quite a bit ever since he started,
Yeah.
winning. Like since the
No,
beginning.
I would disagree. I would disagree. I feel Verstappen has been someone who's been quote unquote hated for I think the entirety of his Formula One stint.
yeah.
But
Yeah, it
that's
started
not
with his
because
dad. Sorry.
no. You're right. You're right. But I feel something about Verstappen is that when he was even at Toro Rosso for that short stint,
Yeah.
right? What he did in Spa at 2015 Spa, Felipe Nasser when he went around the outside of him.
I think so. Yeah.
His classic
I mean,
move.
people don't do that. Yeah, people don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
People didn't like that. You know what I
Not
mean?
at all.
And it's not that move. I meant who Verstappen is.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I personally feel to become a Formula One world champion and sustain that, right? You can't be a good guy. You can't be a good guy.
Oh, yeah.
You can't be a good guy. I
I would
dare you
like
right
to.
now. I dare you right now to name one good guy who's sustained success in Formula One. One good guy. And don't say Seb Vettel because he became a good
He
guy
was not.
once he
Seb
stopped winning.
he had his own
Exactly.
issues.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We need
Once
to
he
talk to
stopped
Mark
winning, he's
Webber
not a
about
good guy.
2021 about that. But yeah.
Exactly. Can you name even one Formula One world champion sustained, who sustained
Sustained.
success, who's been a good guy?
No.
Honestly,
I
no.
don't think so. No. That's
Exactly.
See,
not it.
I think there's another aspect to it as well because
Mhm.
what another thing people don't like about Max is how direct he is. He doesn't like
Yeah.
the fanfare and the cameras and the PR and all of this bullshit.
Yeah.
He just wants to race and then he wants to say like 5 words to the camera and fuck off, right?
And go same racing then.
And
But
go
yeah.
sim racing to ignore his daughter. But that's separate.
Exactly.
Uh,
I mean, isn't that what we like? Isn't that what we like as fans as well? Seeing a racing driver who just wants to race. Why do you think people love Kimi so much?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But
Because he liked
the
racing.
difference between Kimi's directness and Max's directness is Max is more angry direct and Kimi is just I don't care direct. So Kimi makes for good clips.
Yeah.
He makes
Yeah.
for good compilations. Like, oh, look how savage Kimi is being. But Max just is to the point. He's like, I don't want to talk to you and I'll make it very obvious and then I'll leave. And then I'll come back for the race
Yeah.
next weekend and you can watch me win again. That's his whole
Yeah.
and people don't like it when winners don't act for the camera or act the way
Exactly.
a winner should be
Exactly.
acting.
It's a thing. I mean, people would, some people might say this that Max lacks humility, but then I ask them, yeah, he does lack humility, but why should he be humble when
He
he's the
shouldn't
best?
be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Exactly, he's the
three-time world
best. Yeah,
champion.
he's the best.
You have the right to not
Exactly.
be.
Yeah.
And see, it's not like Max is going out of his way to be boastful about himself.
Mm-hmm.
It is just who he is, right? I
Mm.
mean, you look at his past, right? Like you touched upon Jos Verstappen, right? I mean, the guy has been living and breathing motorsport since he was a little kid.
Yes.
That's all he cares about. That's all he loves, and he's bloody well good at it.
Mm-hmm.
Then why should he care about anything else?
100%.
Why should he care about anything else? And why should he? And see, I'll tell you something. Having been working as a Formula One journalist for the last 2.5 years, listen, we go for the stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
I am guilty of that. I'll be very honest with you. I am guilty of that. I go for the stories. There have been times when I've written about aggressive Max Verstappen. But at the end of the day, you have to realize the Max Verstappen, and I feel this is like the human side of him.
Mm-hmm.
The Max Verstappen at the end of the day is a human being.
Yes.
There's only one thing he knows that he does really well, and the other things, see, he may be right, he may be wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the things he says and the things he does. But listen, I mean, he has one skill, right? And he's doing that really well.
Yes.
Maybe he does not have very good soft skills to be, all charming and all vocal and all eloquent in front of the media. But listen, you pay him the big bucks to sit in that cockpit and drive as fast as he can, and he does that. So once he's doing his job, I feel everything else is ancillary, and all the hate he gets for it is unwarranted. And even in the cockpit, there was a thing about Senna, okay, and you'll keep seeing me draw parallels between Verstappen and Senna,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that makes sense. There was a thing about Senna, right? It was okay. I'm going to place my car right here. Okay, now it's up to you. Do you want an accident? Be my guest.
Yeah.
Or do you want to let me buy? Or do you want to let me buy? Because man, I've placed my car here and I'm faster than you. I know that. Right? That's what Verstappen does. I mean,
Yeah.
you would not expect Verstappen to just back out of a corner. Because if you
Never
do
does.
that once, you're doing that again. Again, Martin Brundle said this about him because Brundle had an amazing rivalry with Senna in Formula 3, in British F3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Before both of them broke into Formula 1, right?
Yes.
There was a thing about Senna. Senna used to put you in a spot.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to give me way right now? And if you said yes, which you did most of the times, that meant every time you saw that iconic yellow helmet in your rear view mirror, or sorry, in your like side mirrors, you gave way every fucking time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
God, that
Verstappen. I should, yeah, that is Verstappen.
Mm-hmm.
So I personally feel it's good for the sport.
Yeah.
It's good to have a driver like that. Exactly.
It's a little shitty
No,
at
again,
times.
no.
It's
Exactly.
Racecraft, let's not go that far.
Yeah.
I think it's fun
Tough
to
I mean,
watch.
racing.
it's good. I think it's more about the commitment, and he feels he has a God-given right to win, which I personally feel is something that isn't wrong. I think. I mean, maybe it's the competitor in me, or maybe the Formula One fan in me. But listen, if you feel you have the God-given right to win, go ahead, do it.
I mean, yeah,
I'd
but
say that.
the God is going to Aston Martin next year. So let's see if Fernando Alonso gets the God given right. I mean,
Fingers crossed.
That car is horrendous
Yeah.
at the moment, but yeah, that's.
True. But I think Alonso is a driver. Alonso still is a driver. I personally feel that if you put him in the right car, I think he can win. He can win multiple
Alonso's
championships.
100% he is.
Yeah,
Of course.
if like I was seeing a simulation about the 2023 season, if Max was not competing, if Red Bull was not competing, Alonso would have finished, I think, second in that. And had he known that, he was in a title fight, he might as well have won it.
Mm-hmm.
Because we know how dominant the 2023.
But I mean, this just takes.
And hey, that's not bad for a rookie.
But I mean, it just takes us back to that thing, right? I mean, we have to say, okay, if Max Verstappen was not competing, I mean, like you get my point, right? I mean, Max Verstappen or like Max has been so bloody dominant. He's been so good. Like any alternate universe in Formula One has to be without him. Because see, that's the thing, right? Up until 2023, or the end of it, he was invincible.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the first time in a long, long time that we've seen that okay, Max can be beaten.
Yes.
And then he just goes to Interlagos and he says, no, you can't beat me. You can't beat me. You can't beat me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think we are also obliged to talk about Alpine for at least a few minutes because
the Alpine 2-3,
like,
oh my god,
this race single-handedly justifies one whole episode of Drive to Survive now.
What happened to Ocon? What happened?
Ocon and Gasly. I think they had like a great race overall.
Yes.
Obviously, they like 2-3 finishes, not something which you see every day. They're like Ocon qualified 4th and Gasly qualified 15th.
When a basically backmarker team,
which also shows that Gasly also had almost as good a race as Max.
Okay. Also,
exactly. Yeah.
A backmarker team coming to the front and beating all of these, $100 million, $200 million, $1 billion companies that invest so much in R&D. That's
a team that's about to shut down its engine program.
Yeah.
Gets a 50 million shot in the arm for the constructors.
It's
Be crazy.
amazing. Like it's a final, fight for survival.
The legacy of what Renault is, because
You
Renault
know,
has
I would
done
give
great
credit.
stuff in the sport.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
Over.
but for this race, I think I'd give the entirety of the credit to both Ocon and Gasly and not Alpine because, I was actually reading up about this and Gasly said something, after the race, and he said, you know, uh, back in France when they were just, growing up and dreaming to get into Formula One, there used to be times when it was like freezing cold, right? And it's raining, it's freezing cold, it's conditions you don't want to even step out of your
It's an
bloody bed
average day
out
in
of,
France. I get it. Yeah.
Exactly, And Ocon and Gasly were the only two kids out there, right? They were the
Mm-hmm.
only two kids out there putting the laps in,
Mm-hmm.
putting the practice in, putting the hours in. And Gasly said this, and I think it actually does make sense that played a huge part because Gasly said, maybe that is that. No, he said, I am sure that's what made the difference today.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Gasly and Ocon get overlooked a lot. Sometimes
Yeah.
Ocon more than Gasly, I feel personally. The two of them, again, they're amazing drivers.
Yeah.
And if you look at Ocon alone, if you look at Ocon, he gets a lot of hate. He gets a lot of criticism, a lot of flack for whatever it is.
Some of it
But
deserves,
listen to me.
admittedly.
No, no. I would argue against it.
Okay.
I'll tell you something, and this might be an unpopular opinion. This might be I might get cancelled.
Oh no,
after I say
here
this.
we go.
But I personally feel that at least from a mentality perspective, okay, I won't go into the talent, the skill, the race car, whatever. From a mentality perspective, I rank Ocon and Verstappen in the same bloody boat because
Hmm.
they've both had very difficult, um a very difficult rise up into the world of
Mm-hmm.
Formula One.
Oh, yeah.
The only reason why I can sit here and justify how and what Max does is because at the end of the day, he can back it up. He goes and wins races. Because let's not forget, he's been in a Red Bull that can win races,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
Ocon, on the other hand, has been playing in the midfield for a very long time. For the entirety of his career, he's been playing in the midfield.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, I can sit here, you can sit there and justify a dive bomb by Max for P3,
Mm-hmm.
but it becomes a bit difficult to justify a dive bomb for P12.
True.
At the
Yeah.
end of the
course.
day, but at the end of the day, they're both Formula One drivers, they're both racing drivers, and they both love competing. So for
Yes.
them, Ocon, for someone who's always been in the midfield,
Mm-hmm.
that P10 is as good as a P1 and he wants it. And that P12 is as good as a P3 and he wants it.
Yeah.
Right?
And
It's
I'm sure
unfortunate.
his car is
Yeah,
also kind of a limiter, I would say.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
that can also be said about like a few other drivers. I think that the exact same thing can be said about Magnussen also.
I was just gonna say that K-Mag is such a good driver. It just
he's aggressive. He's very aggressive,
And that's make
he
him-
does the same kind of shenanigans on
Yeah.
track.
and that makes him a great driver.
For viewers, sure.
It does.
For
No,
viewers,
it does.
sure.
But with Magnussen, the thing is, this is what I personally feel. Again, I mean, I might be completely wrong here, but Magnussen's more aggressive without ambition. I personally feel Magnussen has never had ambition.
Sure.
But Ocon is someone, he's like all of us. Sometimes I feel he's like all of us.
Mm-hmm.
You're slogging in life. Like you're making ends meet, but you still don't give up because you just want that big break. I feel
Right.
Ocon is that guy,
Mm-hmm.
and he deserves it. I mean, like, okay, I get it. Okay, Brazil 2018, there was no need to try and unlap. There was no need to try and unlap, but that's Ocon. That's
Yeah.
what he's been. I mean, I am in a Racing Point. He was in a race. No, yeah.
He
He was
was
in
in
Yeah,
a
Racing
racing
Point,
point.
Racing Point. Yeah. I'm in a Racing Point. I've been lapped by Max Verstappen. I'm gonna unlap him. It went wrong. But see, that's true. But see, that's happened with Max as well, right?
Yeah.
But
It
have you
tried.
ever given Max as much shit as Ocon has gotten for what
No.
happened in Austria?
No.
What happened in Austria this year? Why? Because he was fighting for the lead. What was Ocon doing? Unlapping himself. But at the end of the day, aren't you racing? Aren't these two Formula One cars?
Yeah.
Are they not fighting? Okay, let's okay. Ocon wasn't fighting for track position, but was he not battling Max Verstappen? Was he not up against a Red Bull? I personally feel Ocon gets a lot of hate that he should not because that guy is good. That guy has struggled, and that guy. And the biggest thing about him is he knows that maybe he cannot win, but he still keeps at it. What happened in Hungary? 21.
Okay.
Do you think any other driver? Do you think Magnussen could have kept the lead against Seb?
No, but
No.
well,
That's
Could not have.
a fair point.
Because
Yeah.
that guy has been operating. Because that guy has been operating even in the midfield as if he's fighting for a championship.
Yeah, fair. He is that ruthless. I mean, we saw a bit of that in Monaco. He should like tone it down at times. Like I
Should he?
also think the
Should he?
bad rap
Should he?
he's got. I like I'll put that in context. I think the bad rap he's got is a lot more because he's been extra confrontational with his teammates. Like every
No,
teammate
I
has the
feel.
same opinion of him.
that is true.
That's the
Okay,
issue.
again. Let me bring Max Verstappen back into the conversation. 2018 with Danny Rick. 2018 with Danny Rick.
Yep.
2017 with Danny Rick.
Yeah.
Do you think anyone gives him shit for that? No, because he was in a Red Bull. He was fighting for the top spots. The problem with Ocon is, it's basically this, right? It's basically this. Why are you being so aggressive, Ocon? What are you even fighting for? But for him, he's fighting. For him, Ocon has been fighting for his seat season after season.
Yeah.
There's never been a single season that you know for a fact that you will see Esteban Ocon in a Formula One seat the next year.
Yeah.
And what has Verstappen been fighting for? He's been fighting for podiums, he's been fighting for wins, and now he's fighting for championships. That's why you don't blame him. You just call him aggressive. But you call Ocon entitled, you call Ocon aggressive, you call Ocon a maniac because he's not fighting for the championship. Trust me. The second you're dropped into a Formula One seat, which has been your dream, even keeping that seat season after season, is as difficult as winning a world championship.
And worth fighting for, as hard as he fights
Exactly. At the end of the day, even if Ocon is not fighting for P1 out of P20, he's still fighting for P1 out of P2 inter-team.
Right.
And
let me just
not a
send
lot of drivers.
another link.
Yeah.
This is almost about it.
Fuck you, man. Wait, stop it. Are you fucking insane? Stop. I'm scared of it. No. See?
Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of the recording.
Yeah. Anyway, let's. Where were we at? We had just finished talking about Ocon and Alpine. I mean, now.
Sorry, I am a closeted Ocon fanboy. I'm so sorry.
I
think I realized today.
It's okay. I like rooting for like midfield to back marker teams as well, or drivers.
Like I sometimes just see the midfield and the back marker as a separate sport from F1.
Oh Jesus Christ!
But like
but that's true. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so this race was actually like significant for the drivers' championship for sure.
Yeah.
But I think now the more interesting thing is Ferrari and McLaren more than
Yes.
Max and
Yeah.
Lando, because there's a 36-point gap
Yeah.
and three races to go, and Ferrari one driver didn't finish, unfortunately.
Yeah, if Sainz maybe just stops crashing,
The
I'm
elements were
kidding.
just too damn hard this time. I don't think you can blame anyone.
Of course
I
not.
mean, sure, some people can be blamed for their crashes, but let's not go there.
No. Can we touch upon that real quick? I just want to quickly touch upon one person who's definitely was at fault for crashing, and that would be
He didn't
one.
crash.
Yeah. Oh no. He didn't even crash. He got beached. It was our boy Lance Stroll. Jesus Christ. His car spins out. He is on the side. He hasn't crashed yet. The car is still working. He can make it out, right? But he drives onto the gravel that's built to stop cars from moving, and then he gets beached. And he also, it was because of him, he spun out in the formation lap.
I don't think a lot more can actually be said. This is not a situation which can be analyzed deeply. It's just there.
It's beautiful. It's art. Like you cannot. I have no words. I genuinely have no words. It's beautiful. That's all I can say. It was a lovely.
All we can say right now is that Stroll does things sometimes, right? You don't expect from a Formula One driver.
Yeah.
But again, let me play the devil's advocate here.
Of course, being a lawyer.
These cars, these cars. Okay. For example, in terms of when it was beached in the first instance, these cars are very difficult, to find the reverse gear in, because I think, if I'm not wrong, he went into the barriers, and with like the turning radius that these cars have, I don't think it was possible for him to, just be like in neutral or like in first gear and take it off. He had to go into reverse. The other thing that we've seen that I personally, what actually, okay, there's no excuse for like doing that on the formation lap. Obviously, something might have gone wrong, whatever it is. But in terms of what I remember from the 2019 German Grand Prix, right? When you're off track and you're on that in the runoff area, and when it's been pouring, right? When it's been pouring, it's very difficult even in the lower gears when you're revving higher, because there's a lot of torque, right, in these cars. There's a lot of torque. They're like 1,000 horsepower, right? There's a lot of torque in these cars. So you know, to obviously even to maintain it, but obviously, yeah. I mean, there's nothing I can say that can salvage the fact that he then beached into the gravel. But yeah, maybe there was something that was going on that we did not see. But yeah, I mean,
benefit of the doubt, right? Because you can't. There's no way. It's not easy to fuck up, that bad.
That bad. Exactly.
I just feel for the mechanics. They got that car ready after his red flag in quali. His red flag in quali was also quite controversial for very different reasons.
Yeah.
Let's go, Tiffy.
I mean, his red flag, Max, was when a car crashes, you red flag that second. You don't wait.
No, but you know something. Again, I'll play the devil's advocate here. See, at the end of the day, calling a red flag, okay, that was a double waved yellow anyway. So that was right off the bat, right? That had to be a double waved yellow. And Max anyway had to abandon that lap. That had to be done. So the lap he was on, he had to abandon it. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
But you think about this, right? Okay. Let's say, so they called the red flag with 40 seconds left on the clock?
Yeah.
Right? So obviously there was no point in restarting the session, and whatever happened.
Yes,
right?
yes.
But tell me this. The earliest that they could have called the red flag, the earliest that they could have done that was around the 1 minute 30 second mark.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Fine. You can restart the session. Done. Understood. Now think about this, right? Firstly, tire preparation on the outlap. Verstappen would have had only 1 minute 30 seconds. And at a soaking wet Interlagos,
Mhm.
1 minute 30 seconds is not the ideal time you have or you want to have
Fair.
for a proper outlap. Point number
Fair.
one.
Mm.
Point number two. Because Red Bull were the constructors' champions from last year, their pit box
Oh,
was
yeah.
at
Is-
the other end.
Yep.
Was at
Correct.
the
Mhm.
other end of
Right.
the pit lane, right?
Mhm.
So for Verstappen to even get out of his pit box and come to the light,
Would take a minute.
there would have been no. Even if we consider that there was time, because
Mhm.
I think what was the pole lap time? What was the pole lap time? Was it what?
I'm not.
In the 1 minute 20s, right? In the
Yeah.
1 minute 20s, if I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
wrong.
One.
Or like the 1 minute 18s or whatever it is.
Yeah, around that.
Anyways, anyways, if you take everything out of it, considering the time that it would have taken him from his pit box to come to the pit exit, he would have had to put in a qualifying lap on cold tires, relatively cold tires,
Mhm.
to then do that. Again, their inters, maybe they don't wear that much, maybe you can get the heat into it or whatever it is, right? But think about this, right? By the time he leaves his pit box and comes to the pit exit, there would have been at least 7, 8, or 9 or 10 more cars ahead of him.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sure.
There would have been no way that he could have improved. So yes,
True.
Stroll's crash did mean that Verstappen was out of it. But I don't think that the FIA can be blamed for it. Because no matter what they did, virtually or realistically, there was no chance that Verstappen would have been able to, improve his lap time.
Mhm.
But yes, the question arises, was it because there were a few people who said this, that maybe now the FIA, trying to manipulate it or orchestrate a title fight,
Right.
because they already knew that Verstappen would have a 5 place grid penalty,
Mhm.
putting him back in
Yes.
P17. But maybe this is not the best example to give for it. Maybe the red flag is the best example because, anyways, I personally don't feel he could have done it. There was no chance that he could have
I
done
was just happy to see Nicholas Latifi be back in the grid. Honestly, that was great for him to come
We
back
all
for
miss
one last
Latifi, don't we?
crash.
Yeah, we all miss him, don't we? We all miss Latifi. We all miss. But there is an unsung Williams hero
Mhm.
that people don't talk about often, and that is Jack Aiken. That's
Ah.
the guy who took Russell's victory away
Really?
back in 2020. Yeah, it
Oh.
was it was when he crashed at the Sakir Grand Prix in 2020, and
Okay.
that was the debris that gave Russell the puncture when he was
I
leading the
wasn't
race.
following the season too much, so
Okay.
I think
I think
this is the race
yeah.
where wait, this is the race where Grosjean had that massive crash. Is it that one?
No,
that was a different one.
no. That
Grosjean's
was the
crash
Bahrain
was-
Grand Prix. This was
Oh yeah.
So this was run at. Oh no, wait, maybe
Not sure. Check that.
Grosjean crashed not at the
DTS
Sakir
fans
Grand
can
Prix.
help us with this.
Oh yeah, DTS fans can help us in the comments.
Because exactly. Please do so. No, because this was the race that Perez won.
Oh wow! What a
Oh yeah,
surprise.
that was also, I think he started 5th, went down to 18th when he spun and then won. That was also like
Exactly.
this
Leclerc
level of a
and
match.
Verstappen were out. Yeah, Leclerc and Verstappen were out on the first corner because it was with them that he tangled, unfortunately. But then yeah.
And that begs the question:
Maybe-
what happened to Perez?
Yeah.
This topic has been beaten to death.
Yeah.
Lawson is
happened to
also
Perez?
beating this topic to death on track every race. But yeah, I mean,
You know what's happened to
touch upon
Perez?
that?
Perez has. I still feel Perez is a really good Formula One driver.
Agreed.
The problem is,
Does he deserve to be in the Red Bull?
as things stand, no. Personally, I don't think. But again, it's always a thing, right? I mean, when you pit him against Max Verstappen, when you pit any driver against Max Verstappen, it's always a difficult task to live up to. And on the balance of things, you could even argue that Verstappen has been dragging the Red Bull to places that it should not be.
This
And
season,
maybe
definitely.
Perez is actually exactly, and maybe Perez is doing what is realistically possible for that car,
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's not Q2 and Q3 exits and not finishing out of points.
Mm-hmm.
But that is where the entire technical side of thing comes into play. There are so many things right in that car. There's thing about balance. There's confidence on the brakes. It's about tire management, energy harvesting and management. There's a lot of things that when as a driver, okay. Do you guys sim race? Do you guys have ever sim raced?
No.
No.
Well, I've tried it like once because one of my friends had like a very rudimentary setup. Like that.
Right. So So when you sim race, right, and you just jump into a car,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and you are not able, or maybe you don't have the right balance, right? You don't have the right balance. Let's say
Sure.
now the car is maybe not turning
Mm-hmm.
enough, or see, I can give this example because I've sim raced extensively, so I can maybe have the thing. Once you're not comfortable with what the car is doing, everything else, like you're putting all your brain capacity into figuring this out,
Right.
and you're always every corner you're thinking at the back of your head, okay, the car won't stop, the car won't turn, the car will oversteer, or whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the other things that you have to do, you're not able to do them properly.
It's a lot of management to
So
do.
it's
for
like
sure.
a spiral. Exactly.
Mhm.
It's a spiral. If you're not comfortable with how the car is at, or where the car is at,
Mm-hmm.
everything else takes a back seat automatically.
Do you think the
Right?
car is
So I
designed
feel
more
personally,
for Max than it is for Perez?
no,
Is that?
no. The Red Bull car, and as it is with every other Formula One car, it is
Mhm.
designed to go as fast as it can go. The
Sure.
point is, who can actually take it up? Now, you think about this, right? Perez has had relatively 3 bad seasons now, including this one, right? 22, 23, 24.
Mm-hmm.
But would you say that 21 was a bad season for him?
Not particularly.
Nope.
I think he
No?
played his part as a second driver
Exactly.
for sure.
Exactly. What has changed from 21 into 22?
The regs.
Exactly. Exactly. There
Sure.
is a whole different way you have to drive these cars.
Yeah.
There's a whole different way you have to manage the tires. There's a whole different way you have to approach racing. And the best drivers, Perez is good, but the best drivers always adapt.
Mm-hmm.
Verstappen has been able to adapt. Leclerc has been able to adapt. Alonso has been able to adapt.
Yeah.
You could argue that Lewis has not been able to adapt yet.
No,
I
not
mean,
really.
Mercedes has also not been able to adapt.
Hey, Russell
True,
was
no,
well.
true, no, true. But you look at Lewis's quality performance. Lewis is a driver who has a certain driving style, right?
Mhm.
And he's come on record himself to say that the way the W15 or maybe the ground effect cars, that the way need to be driven over a single lap, he's not able to do that. All his experience, all his racecraft, everything that he has, and also maybe the high fuel, low fuel configuration, whatever the differences are, he's able to make it up in terms of race pace. But in terms of one lap quali pace, Russell's he has legs over
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hamilton. And it's the same thing, right? Perez was doing really well. He was doing relatively well in 21 when the cars were what they were. He's not been able to do it now because the cars are not what they were. So again, if you ask me, does he deserve to be in the Red Bull? No, because he's failed to adapt.
Yeah.
But if you ask me if Sergio Perez is a washed-up driver, no.
Yeah, I mean,
He's just a driver who's not comfortable with the current regulations.
I think it's very
people in the
easy to
sport,
say
yeah.
that people are washed without really going
Exactly.
into the reasoning
Exactly.
of why that
Exactly.
might be happening.
I mean,
Exactly.
people in the sport kind of have like a goldfish memory. I mean, Sergio Perez had his days. Like,
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's an argument to be made that he dragged the forced India to places where it should never have been.
100%.
Exactly. I mean, you look at Danny Rick.
Yeah.
21 McLaren obviously was not the year he wanted, but he was not that behind Lando in terms of
Yes.
A pace and performance. He was not that behind Lando, right? But
Mm.
22, you look at him, he was nowhere. He was nowhere.
Yep.
Why?
The
I mean,
reg did
people
not
forget,
suit him at all.
people, exactly. People, this is something that actually grinds my gears. That you're forgetting that 21 and 22 till now are very different sports in
Yeah.
terms of cars. It's not the same. It's not the same. You look at Vettel, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013. Perfect.
Yep.
2014.
Flawless.
2014.
Yeah.
Renault fucks up. Red
Bad.
Bull fuck up. And then what happens? Ricardo beats Vettel. Why? Because Vettel always had a driving style. Again, this is that argument, right? If you personally ask me, the greatest Formula One drivers can drive any bloody car.
Right.
True.
But sometimes maybe you can't. But that does not mean that you're a washed up driver, you're not a good driver. Because personally, I feel we are not the right people to say that. Because listen, you drop any one of us into that car.
I'm going to crash immediately.
Exactly.
I'm causing at least 5 million worth of damage. Easy.
Exactly.
I still won't beat my car, but anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. No. For a fact. Shoot me if you see me do that on a Formula One. Shoot me if you see me do that. But it is what it is. Can't help it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's more listen. Do you okay? I was just looking at the constructors standings, and Alpine was, I think, what, ninth before this race. They have leapfrogged to sixth, and
30 million.
Yeah, I honestly feel a little bad for Racing Bulls and Haas because they drivers and those teams have been the consistent, P8, P9 finishing, or let's get 2-3 points every race kind of people. And Alpine just sleeps the entire season, comes in one race and just destroys their whole, or let's just build points consistent. It's like that kid who slept the entire time. And you need to score a 6 out of 10 in like 5 tests to pass. And this one guy comes, scores a 30 out of 10 in one test and sleeps the rest of the tests and just
as a result of this, although I
weird.
can't really blame Alpine for winning. Well, of course not. But what hurts is, as someone who likes both Haas drivers, all three Haas drivers. Actually, I like K-Mag, Hulkenberg, and Bearman as well. Like all three of them are pretty good drivers, and Haas is one of those underdog teams that I've been supporting for a while. So
except for
hurts.
2021. Yeah.
Well, okay, yes. They've had their ups and downs. It's a small team. Come on.
Yeah, let's not go there. Let's not go there.
The entire team. That's an achievement in itself.
It's a really small team. But yeah, it hurts to see the constructors now being the way it is.
I mean, the midfield, the lower part of the midfield is quite competitive again. I mean, if Aston Martin stays the way it is, still like not finishing in the points at all. Like I'm sure Alonso is getting like McLaren 2016 vibes from this car. Like he's doing nothing.
Yeah.
What is going on? But I mean that's there. But at the top of the constructors, we have quite a good battle. Like 36 points separate Ferrari and McLaren. If Sainz had not crashed and different points, who knows? Because McLaren had a bad day at work.
Yeah,
they did. I mean, you look at the
constructors.
On with
Piastri lately? He's been he had his one win, and then after that,
team orders. It's called team orders in the sprint.
Sure, no. I understand team orders and Lando needs to win, etc. But I mean, I feel like there's something more to it than that. Like I feel like he just doesn't feel like
it's a second season in F1.
Yeah, I mean, I still feel exactly. He's still coming to terms with that car, and that car, to be very honest, has not been the fastest these last 2 races.
Sure,
or maybe maybe throughout throughout this America's triple header. It's not been the fastest car. And, Piastri's, I think, still coming to grips with the fact that this car is the way it is and has to be driven in a certain way. On his day, he's been unbeatable. But if coming to the Constructors' Championship, I personally feel Ferrari are in with a very good shot of actually winning for the first time since 2008, because that's the last time they won the Constructors' title. The thing is, if you look at the next three races, there's Las Vegas, there's Qatar, and then there's Abu Dhabi, right? Historically speaking, because we've only had one race there, but still, historically speaking, Ferrari has had a very strong package at Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And the SF24 is not so much different than the SF23, even though they have fast-tracked a few suspension elements and a few aerodynamic elements on the floor, basically, from the 25 concept, right? The problem is, something that Leclerc has himself said that he fears is tire management, because it's going to be cold. It's going to be cold.
Yeah.
It's going to be cold at Las Vegas, right? And Ferrari has become really good with managing temperatures. But what that does is it makes it difficult to generate temperature.
Yeah.
So, in terms of a normal circuit, maybe you don't overheat your tires. But in terms of Las Vegas, can you get the tires in the optimum window to perform?
Yes.
That's
So Las Vegas
probably the issue they had at Interlagos. Getting to the temperature in the cold would have been a nightmare.
Exactly. And the the track conditions are going to be the same as they were at Interlagos for Las Vegas. So that could be a problem. But again, the Ferrari package is a good package. I think Leclerc is a driver that can actually drag that Ferrari up, maybe one or two more positions. Sainz on his day, as we saw in Mexico, Sainz on his day can actually, just outdrive that Ferrari and, place it there. I think now going into the last three races, I feel both the drivers have the mentality. I think Sainz, more than anyone, wants to be the guy who took Ferrari to their first constructors title since 2008, right? He wants to be that guy for them. So I think that's something. Qatar is a track that I don't think Ferrari is going to do well. Even last time they did not. And I think that the way the SF24 has been developed, maybe now with the upgrades, maybe it might be a bit different. Who knows? But I think Qatar is a track that they might struggle at. But then again, Abu Dhabi is a track that they will not struggle at. Abu Dhabi is one of the strongest tracks for Ferrari historically, all throughout the modern era of Formula One. If you ask me, it's going to be a very, very close battle. I think it's going to be decided at the last race anyway. Who wins the Constructors title?
Constructors is going to be out till the last race. Drivers might
actually the last lap, maybe.
No, I mean,
the drivers.
Get back to
I personally
that, but just for the last lap, let's get back the massive
one last time.
Exactly. But see, the Drivers' Championship, I think Verstappen's going to seal it all up in Las Vegas, because Norris needs to at least close the gap down by 3 points mathematically to still be in contention. And I think personally, right now, the way the season is going on, again, it again depends in terms of what car does Red Bull turn up with at Las Vegas. They won last year, but I don't think you can compare.
Oh yeah,
of course not. Different cars.
You can't compare what the RB19 did with the RB20. I don't know where they will be in terms of performance, but I think Lando's lost his mojo. I think Brazil was the final nail in the coffin. I think Verstappen was crowned champion in Brazil. I think it has become official now in Las Vegas.
Lando kind of has himself to blame, because his race starts apart from Singapore have been horrendous.
Yeah,
throughout.
Exactly. But
it might just be the nerves, or I don't know what it is, but every single time,
exactly. I was going to say this. So I had the privilege of speaking to a open wheel driver coach recently, and from my discussion with him, it's not more about the nerves. It's also, I think it's a technical problem in terms of what McLaren are also doing. There's a lot of things, right? Like the clutch bite, and then there's the first phase of the start, and then the second phase of the start. I mean, even if you look at, which race was it? This race only, right? At Sao Paulo. Norris got the better start off the line than Russell, but then in terms of the second phase, Russell actually had the legs on him. I think it's what revs they're running,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously because it was a wet start, so obviously there was a lot of wheel spin as well. But yeah, I mean, then when you compare it to someone like Piastri, he's not having issues, right, with the race starts. Like not as pronounced as Norris has been having. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously there is a certain element of Norris having to step up his game, but I feel you can't completely blame Norris for it. I think that has been a problem for a lot of drivers. Like if you look at Alonso, he has amazing race starts. That's also because he gives that feedback to the team, right? I want I want these revs, or I want the clutch bite to be this much. I want the clutch to feel a certain way, and I want this to be in a certain way and that to be in a certain way. I think Norris has not been able to be that vocal
Communicative.
in terms of what he likes.
Mm.
Exactly, about what he likes, and maybe that's also down to because he does not know himself. Like that aspect has been lacking in him. Piastri,
Right.
on the other hand, probably is someone who can just make do with what he has,
Right.
and he's
He's
doing
more
a decent
adaptable.
job with what
What
he
you were
has.
talking about earlier.
Exactly,
He can adapt.
exactly. Probably he is. Who knows? So yeah.
Mm.
But yeah,
Interesting.
so Vegas is still like there's a three week gap right now.
Oh.
I don't think we've seen 3 breaks in a Formula One season ever, but I think the pit crews need it after Brazil at
Yeah,
least.
they do. They do. Hats
Like,
off to them, man. I mean, I feel personally the mechanics and the crew, I feel that's like the most difficult job right now in Formula One because
Yeah.
mechanics, because you see drivers crashing and they have to just be on it. And the pit crew and the support staff, I mean, 24 races, unprecedented, but it's hectic. It
I mean,
has to be
Yeah.
hectic.
they're sportsmen in their own right.
Oh, for sure.
Exactly.
There was this
They're athletes in
one
their own right.
video there was watching of an F1 pit crew changing tires in the dark, like in complete darkness, and they still managed to pull off like a 2 to 3 second like tire switch in full like pitch dark. That is impressive. I don't know
That's
That's
how.
just
impressive.
memory at that point. They train like maniacs.
It's
I mean,
amazing.
this sport, exactly. I mean, this sport is amazing on so many different levels. I
Yeah.
mean, it's amazing from a technical point of view. It's amazing from a sporting point of view. It's amazing from the administrative point of view. I mean, everything. There's a reason why it's called Formula One. There's a reason why it's the pinnacle of open wheel single seater motor racing
Yeah.
because it's as perfect as you can get. Like the margins are so small. So yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's been a. I think that would be a good note to
End on. Yeah.
end on.
And
Yeah.
an actual positive one. That's
The perfect
Yeah.
race was talked about. The perfect sport was referenced. I think yeah, this has been quite good, and
Yep.
yeah, I think
Oop.
we can end on this note.
there you go.
And yeah, thank you for being on. And
Thank you for
And
having me, guys. Thank you so much. It was an honor when I saw your text. It was an honor. I was like, oh wow, people like listening to me talking about this sport. I've been looking for someone to ask me, can you please talk about Formula One? Because every
Yeah.
time I talk, because every time I talk about Formula One with my friends and people, and they're like, okay, fine, yeah.
sure.
I'm like,
No.
come on, man.
See,
Let
this
me
is the
talk.
great thing about this podcast is all of us, I think, here can just talk about the thing that we love, and
Exactly.
it's
And it doesn't feel like work.
Exactly.
yeah, genuinely,
It's
it
just
doesn't.
happening
Exactly.
Mhm.
with a camera on. That's all.
Exactly. And the only idea is that the people that are listening to this also have, 3 people talking about the sport, and they can also think and talk in their minds and can, have fun
Exactly.
with this podcast. I think that's the most important thing here.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
I think,
And to
Thank you
end
so
it
much,
off,
guys. Thank you so much.
yeah.
yes,
All right.
like, share, subscribe,
Like, share,
guys.
subscribe. See you in the next one.
Oh yeah, please do. These guys are doing some really good stuff here, and I'm excited, to be very honest, to see where you guys take this.
And we are
I'll be
honored to
following you
hear
guys
that.
very, very closely.
Yeah. Thanks for that. See you in the next one.